Hello and welcome to the CottageCutz YouTube channel. My name is Lynn and today I am going to make a bench fold card. So we're going to start off with some heavyweight cardstock. This is 120 pound and I'm cutting it down to 10 inches wide by 5 inches tall. And along that 10-inch edge, I'm going to score it at 1 3/4 of an inch. And then 3 1/4 of an inch, and then I'm going to rotate that 180 degrees and make those same score marks. So 1 3/4 of an inch and 3 1/4 of an inch. So I'm also going to flip this over and actually score that 3 1/4 inch line from the back. And the reason for that is because I want that to actually be a valley fold, and I tend to fold my score lines as mountain folds. So with that piece of leftover cardstock from a US letter sheet, I've cut this first piece to 7 inches by 2, but I ended up actually trimming that down to 1.5. And then with this piece, I've cut it to 4.5 by 1.5, and I'm scoring it along that 4.5 inch edge at 1/2 inch on both sides. And then I'm going to miter both of those because they'll both end up being glue tabs. So mitering is just from the score line, I'm going to cut towards the edge, and I'm going to cut just a little triangle off. So with that first piece, the 5 inches tall by 10 inch wide, I'm going to fold the first line. That was the line scored at 1 3/4 of an inch as a mountain fold. And then I'm going to valley fold the second line. So that's the line that was scored at 3 1/4 of an inch. And I'll do the same on the other side as well. So that's going to start out our bench fold card. Now when this folds out, it's going to measure 5.5 inches and fit into a standard 5 by 7 envelope. And when it's on display, it'll look a little something like this. So that smaller piece is going to be a support beam of sorts, and then the 7-inch wide piece, this one here, is going to be the front of our bench fold card. So here you've already see that I've shortened it a little bit. It's 1.5 inches tall instead of 2 inches, and that's because when I did a little bit of a dry fit of my scene, which you'll see more later, scale-wise, it worked out better to be a little bit shorter. Totally depending on your scene, what you want to do. You can go higher or lower. But when you attach it, what you want to do is only attach it to the two frontmost panels. So those two panels on the ends there measure 1 3/4 of an inch wide. And so I've only put glue there. And the top piece of pattern paper is 1 3/4 of an inch wide by 3.5 inches tall. That's for my specific, front bridge piece here. Depending on the height of your bridge piece and whether or not you want any of the white card base to show, you can obviously kind of alter that to suit your aesthetic or the scene that you're creating. Today I'm making a little bit of a 50s diner, but it's going to be a Christmas card. So Santa is dropping by this diner for just a quick little pick-me-up. He's gonna have an ice cream sundae, just a little bit of sugar to fuel the rest of his gift deliveries. And I did alter, so here I'm using Santa GNOME with Christmas tree. This was part of one of the Christmas releases from this year. And I'm altering him a little bit to show him from the perspective of looking at his back, because he's going to be sitting on this stool at this diner. And so I've had to kind of alter things a little bit. So just little details. So for example, the fuzzy white part of his hat, I've turned that upside down from how you see it on the packaging. You could definitely actually, try to fill out Santa's beard and face on the opposite side of this, just to just to make it complete if somebody were to kind of take a peek behind there. I didn't happen to do that, but you could totally do that and have that extra detail. Now, this bridge piece, I would totally recommend putting this in before you put in your front bridge. It's just a little bit easier to get all of these pieces in, but I like to glue down one tab, put glue on the other tab on the opposite end, and then just fold this down as if you were folding it to put it into an envelope. And by doing that, the glue tab catches exactly where it needs to and ensures that this card will fold down flat and fit into an envelope in case you do need to ship it. The other thing that I would recommend, in addition to attaching this that bridge piece first before you attach the front piece, is attach it closer to the back. Mine is attached a little bit too close to the front, because the purpose of that tab is actually to be a bit of a support beam for the countertop of our bench to sit on, so that it doesn't get pushed down too far. Now, this the bench top here, I didn't show myself cutting on screen. But I can give you the dimensions now. This is actually cut to 3.5 inches wide by 2 inches tall. And along that 2-inch edge, I've scored it at 1/4 of an inch on both ends. So this middle section here is exactly 3.5 inches wide. And I've cut my countertop here to 3.5 inches wide. And you can see it's not fitting in between those two walls, you could call them. And so what I'm going to do is just take a little sliver, just the smallest sliver off, and that little bit was enough for this piece to fold down nicely and not have any visible gaps. On the other end, there is a 1/4 inch tab, but that's not going to get glued down anywhere. That's just so that it tucks in nicely and just puts a little bit of pressure against the back so that it stays down nice and firm. And if that bridge piece was placed a little bit further towards the back there, it would help to prevent you from pushing it too far down to where it starts to angle downwards, rather than being nice and kind of flush with the top. So that's our bench fold card. The base of it pretty much complete. And so I'm adding this extra bridge piece. This is again cut to 4.5 inches wide, and I've scored it at 1/2 inch on both sides. This is just from some nice strong heavyweight acetate. You could also use plastic packaging if you want. And I'm attaching it the same way, just attaching it by one glue tab and then straightening it out and folding the card down so that that other glue tab just adheres to the opposite side exactly where it needs to in order for this card to still fold down flat. And even with that countertop piece, this card will fold down flat, and that's the reason why we didn't glue down the other 1/4 inch tab. That's so that it's free to lift up so that you can fold it down and put it into an envelope if you did want to ship this. And so the bit of acetate that I put across the top was because this diner is going to be decorated for the Christmas season. And so I pulled out this string of Christmas lights, which is from the Snowy Gnome house set, or home, Snowy Gnome home set. And I've also pulled out the gingerbread cocoa house from that set. I used the wreath and, that bit of greenery. And you'll see that decorate some other aspects of my diner as well. Now, if you want to actually see me assemble all of the individual pieces, you can pop on over to my channel and just watch the beginning portion. I'll leave all of that in my video if you want to see these little elements and portions of Santa being assembled and whatnot. It makes for a really long video to leave all of that in, and so for the purposes of this video, I wanted to keep it nice and short. As I was looking at Santa, I realized he looks kind of funny without legs sitting on this bench or on the stool here, and so I looked through all of the various Santa die sets that I have, and I found this one, which is perfect because Santa is standing, so you can see his legs, and it happens to be a pretty good scale to match or to fit with the Santa that I've chosen. So it works out perfectly. And so I'm attaching him so that it looks like his feet are resting on that metal bar that's in front of the stool. So really, really fun discovery to find that perfect match. And when I attach Santa, I'm attaching him with a little bit of low profile foam. My low profile foam is only 1 millimeter thick. And for these really thin parts, I'm using some 3D glue gel by Kalau. I just find that a little bit, or I should say a lot easier than cutting super thin strips of foam. And in the Santa set that I used earlier, it did come with this sort of candy cane, and so I went ahead and assembled that, and I just have that resting against the stool. And to finish my lights at my string of lights at the top, I'm using these really itty bitty gemstones in a variety of different colors. So I think they give the card a little bit of twinkle and shine, and they kind of give you that look of lights. On the back here, I wanted to add something so that it looks more like Santa is reading something or has something to look at. And as I'm saying that now, another fun idea would be to add another character to this scene, but have that character looking towards us, the viewer of the card. So maybe somebody who is actually behind the counter who is serving Santa his ice cream sundae. So I think that would be another really fun detail to add as well. I'm going to use this board as if it was maybe a menu board, but instead of, writing out a fake menu for our diner, I thought I would piece together some different sentiments and have this serve as the sentiment for our card. So the word rockin' is actually from one of the classic 50s phrases set. And then I've got Merry Christmas with shadow. I'm going to trim this down because Christmas is rather long. It's beautiful, it's scripty, but a little too long for this little signboard here. So I'm just going to take the very last portion, and I took the X from the retro alphabet die set, and our complete sentiment will read Rockin' Xmas. And I'm going to put that right on that back wall there to fill that out. The little posters, I guess they are, on the corkboards that I have on the left and right walls of my diner, that's actually from the same pattern, 6x6 pattern paper set as the stripy paper and the dotty paper that I'm using. And it's actually one of those papers that has a collage of like all of these different little posters. And so I just fussy cut a few of them out, and they're perfect because on the right side, it's all about pies. On the left side, it's all about like fresh fruit, which for the winter season, maybe you wouldn't get so much of, but the idea is just to have something on those boards that is kind of fun. And in the 50s Soda Bar set, there's the, I think it's an old school radio. I converted it to make it seem a little bit more like it was a cash register. And then there's also the little music notes, but I'm going to add that to our little signboard on the back there, just to kind of underscore the rockin' aspect of our sentiment. So here you can see I can lift up this counter and fold this down flat, and it will fit into a 5x7 standard card envelope, so long as you don't attach anything to the card that stretches beyond, those sort of borders. And here's a nice close-up look so you can see all of the details in the lights, the signboard, and it's just a really fun card to make. Great for putting on display, which is always my goal for the holidays, is to make cards that people want to put out on display. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, we'd love for you to subscribe to the CottageCutz YouTube channel. Thanks so much. Until next time, happy crafting and have a fantastic day. Bye.